the thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online.
Google it
They
yourself.
spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
What I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise.
Oh my God.
Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, VP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
Back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Tonight we have a video. It's a cartoon. It's an animated video where they are trying to prove that Jesus existed, providing evidence and everything. And one second, hold on. Yeah, I accidentally hit go live a little sooner than I anticipated. So that's my bad. I was expecting to have to do something in studio, but apparently they fixed that kind of shit.
We got a new member.
Let's see. We do have a couple of different things. Like we've got notification. There we go. We're gonna have super chats actually appearing on screen, like this. So we got Daniel M with the first super chat of the night saying David says hi, he's not quite ready for bed. Yeah, it is pretty early here, so I appreciate David David being up to be able to watch me curse and stuff. But then we got Digital Hammurabi in the house who says I want the room to notice that GE dodged, obfuscated, and prevaricated with respect to my clear and circumspect questions. The fuck? Oh. Yeah. GE is just upset that his atheism doesn't provide for the necessary preconditional ultimate instantiation of the impossibility of ground of all beingness, typical atheist canard. Yeah. So tonight we have a cartoon that is supposedly going to be proving that Jesus existed in history. I'm sure they've only got the best evidence that you could hope for. So we'll be going for that. We're not going to have any Today I Learns tonight. It's going to be kind of a weird stream because I was sick yesterday, but we are going to have some comments to go through, and then we're going to get directly into the video. So we got all that going. If you are part of the Skeptic Mafia and you haven't left a comment yet, please go to the community tab, leave your comment on the community post so that we can read it right at the very end. Gobble till you wobble, y'all. I know the things are working tonight. We got Alex Baranowski that says "Gobble till you wobble," and I am Groot. Thank you there, Alex. So glad I got this new tool to actually put the super chats on the screen. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm also excited about the super chats working. But if you guys want to fuck around and find out why Jesus probably didn't exist, then please stay tuned. What's up, heathens? Today's video is brought to you by Ridge Wallets. Are y'all tired of carrying around big, thick wallets like this? Or how about you ladies? You tired of carrying around a big, giant, honking guy like this right here? Well, say no more. Get rid of those big, thick guys, and why don't you pick up a Ridge Wallet? Well, heathens, I gotta say, I love this Ridge Wallet. For one thing, it's got a small profile, but even though it has a small profile, it still holds up to 12 cards. See, you just pop the cards out right there, and then you can use it to buy your liquor. Oh, and to pile onto all this good shit about the wallet, it's made of a really durable material, so Ridge is giving it a lifetime warranty. But they are so confident that you're going to love this wallet right here that they have given you 45 days to test drive it. And if you don't like it, you can send it back for a full refund. So if you'd like 10% off your order at ridge.com, be sure to use the link below or just go to ridge.com/godless engineer. And you too can have the most awesome wallet that you have ever had in your life. And you can finally get rid of this bulky motherfucker right here. Go with Ridge today. Ridge.com, Godless Engineer. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Remember, get your barbecue, beer, and your freedom at the front door. Tonight, I'm going to be handling these dumb fucking comments that we got going on today, because I don't have any shitty-ass science to go through, so I just got to respond to these dumb-ass comments. Hope you guys have been liking those Ridge commercials that have to play every single fucking video. We're almost done with that shit, but GE didn't put up there that it's actually 15% off. So you're going to get 15% off of your Ridge wallets if you go to ridge.com/Godless Engineer. And you can help out the channel, and you can buy a present for your whoever you want to. And get them one of them Ridge wallets. Mine's actually, mine's downstairs. Anyways, it was in the video. How y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing good. We got some new fancy tools here. Like, we got Digital Hammurabi saying, "Oh, snap." And then we got Melody Joy with the super chat saying, "Glad you are feeling better, J.A." Yep, J.A. just drank a little bit too much yesterday, and so he had his first hangover, so, that he had to correct that shit. He doesn't have strong. Holy shit! This will buy me a cranberry log. That was on Thanksgiving. Oh, okay. Well, we got. Yep, Melody Joy saying, "Glad you're feeling better." I'm glad he's feeling better too. That way he could, let me stay at his place for free. Anyways, we got this first comment here tonight that says, "Atheist fairy tale. Once upon a time, there was a fish that really wanted to walk on the land. So over a long time, it grew legs and lungs for no apparent reason and walked out of the water. Then this fish became human and made a computer. The fish lived happily ever after." You see, this kind of bullshit right here is what makes me a little embarrassed to call myself a Christian, because I'm Josephus, not Godless Engineer. I am Josephus. I stand for barbecue, beer, and freedom. He's a dipshit. Anyways, this is really wrong, because this is not what evolution is, but more importantly, evolution's not an atheist thing. You see, evolution's a science thing. It's not atheist. There are Christians like myself that accept evolution because we're not dipshits! Like this motherfucker right here, whoever said this shit. So anyways, no organism decided to just grow lungs and legs and decided to walk on land. See, it's all about different environmental pressures that cause these things to develop.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Thank you there, Rudy. Rudy Kisley says Kisley. Like Wisley. Feel better, bro. Kaisley. The fuck? Oh, here's my drink. This, oh shit, you can't even see it. I'm drinking a ghost drink right here. So this is what I'm calling a monster aviator. It's a monster aviator because it's aviator gin and a monster. So I'll be a drunk, but I'll be hyperactive. Anyways, thank you, Rudy, for your super chat there. Yeah, what's that thing that GE always says? Oh, a portion of the proceeds on this channel go to helping me stay drunk all the time. No? Oh, that's right. A portion of proceeds go to charity. And so this month they were buying a bunch of foster kids Christmas presents. And I think they were able to do like, what, $1,000 or something this month? Because of all you heathens out there donating money to this instead of getting me drunk, you got $1,000 worth of Christmas presents for foster kids. We were able to do both, get me drunk and buy the presents for foster kids. So let's all give a hand. Here we go. So, I mean, if you want to continue to help us, because we're always donating. So anytime these super chats come in, it's going to be to help, some charity organization.
I gotta tell you,
Daniel M.
for my liquor.
I am definitely thankful for my liquor there, Daniel. Thank you. David says, can I have some of that? That's a hard no there, bud. Yeah. No, Monster Aviators are adult drinks. What? I'm sure you could get some like, what's that fake orange juice called? Sunny D. Get some real orange juice, not Sunny D. Yeah, no Sunny D. Don't forget about what I said. Real orange juice. Looks like Serenian's just got some green tea over there. I am not going to be going that route tonight. Anyways, so this is completely bullshit. This is not evolution, and nor is it atheism. This isn't even scientific. This is a misrepresentation of what evolution is. So, I mean, take that for what you will. This guy's a dipshit, though. Go on to the next comment here. Oh, look, another comment to make me embarrassed to be Christian. Daily reminder, Christianity is older than Judaism. What? What the fuck are you talking about? No. Okay, just a hard no on this particular one, because Christianity cannot be older than Judaism. Judaism was first, and then Christianity came later. I don't know if you need to, take some kind of remedial course about how time works, but that's how chronology works. In chronological order, Judaism, and then Christianity. Although he could be making a point that Jesus Christ was at the beginning with God, which is what the Gospel of John says, as well as first century Christians. So he could be meaning that, but he went in a horrible way of making that known. Because, I mean, you have to kind of twist what he's saying in order to get that. So, anyways, Christian embarrassment number 2. What do we got? Are we going to... Oh, look, it's Trent Horn! Fuck. Okay, so Trent says, Internet atheist. I don't believe in God for the same reason I don't believe in Santa or imaginary friends. Also, Internet atheist, I'm not saying there is no God. I'm only saying I lack a belief in a God. Now, I know GE's position on this, and he don't like the lack of belief definition either, but both of us feel that lack of belief and just being unconvinced of the position is somewhat similar. So I feel like I can answer this. The first one is true because the reason why he doesn't believe in God is because of a lack of evidence. There is no evidence for Santa, Loch Ness Monster, leprechauns, although I'd love some of them gold coins if you're out there, leprechauns, leppies. And so there's no evidence for those things, and there's no evidence for God, so therefore he's not convinced by any of them. But also he doesn't say there is no God. He just is unconvinced by it. So I really don't see how these two statements are at odds with each other. It just kind of seems like Trent Horn was putting out there like, hey, these are two things that internet atheists say, and they're totally valid. He doesn't say that they're valid, but I mean, you know, them being not in contradiction, that's the only thing I can come up with what he might be saying with it. So, you know, what the fuck ever. But in any case, I feel like this tweet is a little bad because he's meaning it as a contradiction, but it's really not. So it just really kind of makes him look a little foolish. Anyways, Trent, good going there, bud. But maybe try again someday. Oh, this is a fun one. Because it's dipshit just in general. So I mean, anybody can answer for this one. Okay. Huh? Not a Democratic. I'm not Republican. I am American. Barbecue bear and freedom. Luckily, the camera doesn't go down to my belly button. That's number one. I will not conform to what the government thinks is right for me. What did our military fight for? All for nothing if we conform. Over in Australia, they are making people download an app and giving them X amount of time to respond with a pic and location. They are not allowed to even be on their porches without a mask.
Secures your seat in hell.
Any cop over there that follows through should be put in front of a firing squad. You know what the soldiers who took orders from Hitler said? I was only doing my job. Food for thought! Okay. I don't know what it means to be a Democratic, but, you know, I'm a Democrat Republican, so, you know, that tells you all you need to know about me. Apparently they are neither Democrat or Republican. They're American, which means I don't give a shit about other people. I just want to be unencumbered by having to protect other people of my own nation, is what they are. That was a really long quotes there, but you know, it fits. So let's see, what did our military fight for? Well, they definitely fought to protect people, which is exactly what the masks are doing. I don't know what in the hell the Australia app is that apparently the police are forcing people to take selfies on a certain time period. I mean, I don't know why. Like, we just need to stop here in America with people taking selfies all the time with like their food and while they're in the car and everything like that. Like, they just need to stop, especially Christians out there that are looking to prove God exists or some shit like that. They always want to turn on their camera and talk while they're on the way to the gym or work or church or something. Just turn off the fucking cameras, quit being a fucking car theist, and wait until you stop. All right? I love God and Jesus' dick as much as they do, but at least I can not do it while I'm driving. Dumbass Jesus, take the wheel, people. Anyways, and then he's talking about a fire squad, and then who's Hitler? Hitler. I don't know who Hitler is, but if he's talking about the World War II asshole, then I don't know why he's got to violate that one law. What is it? Murphy's Law? I don't know. Bennigan's Law? I'm not sure what it is. Why does he have to bring up Nazis? Like, it just seems really It just it obfuscates your entire message here by bringing up Nazis. I don't even know why you're talking about it, but anyways, because the Nazis weren't like requiring people to wear masks so it protected everybody. They were like, "Hey, are you Jew? Okay, well, we're gonna put you in an internment camp and we're gonna systematically kill all of you." That's what he said. It wasn't, "Hey, put on this mask so you're protected." No, that's not what Hitler was doing, you dipshit. Anyways, all right, next comment. Let's get through these so we can talk about how Jesus doesn't exist. This is the ultimate purpose of the manufactured COVID crisis and mandatory vaccines, to bump us all off to make room for the arrival of the alien population. Is that what the purpose is here? The fuck? Oh, shit, I'm not even doing my job. Fuck, I missed Alex Baranowski. Alex says 99 red balloons. Thank you, Alex, for the 99 red balloons. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with them. Wouldn't it? It'd blow Alex's mind if just like 99 red balloons started popping up all around me. Like, what the fuck is this shit? God damn it, Alex! Oh, did somebody just subscribe? They probably did it to talk shit in the chat. I understand that feeling. Anyways, I don't know why they think that the COVID crisis is meant to bump everybody off so that the alien population could come in. I mean, from what I can tell, it's only bumping off the dipshits that aren't wanting to get vaccinated. There are a couple breakthrough cases and whatnot, but it just kind of seems like the COVID is targeting those dipshits that don't want to protect themselves and each other from the virus. So I don't see how it's like popping people off so that the aliens can come in. I don't even know where the alien part came from. That just seems like some crazy bullshit right there. Anyways, quit shooting yourselves in the foot, Republicans. Anyways. Next up is this joker. This is another one of those times when I'm embarrassed to also be Christian. Because I'm Josephus and not Godless Engineer. This guy says, "Hey, I run a off-the-grid Christian community. Looking for a concubine or two. If you are Christian and into off-the-grid lifestyle, hit me up. Please, no bots." Can you say please no bots? And the bots will just like, there's like, oh shit, he said please no bots. I guess I'll just skip this post and go on to another post. I sincerely doubt the bots give a shit. Whether or not you want them to comment, they will still comment. But also, what the living fuck? You run an off-the-grid Christian community that also supports concubines? Like, this is some real, like, 1st and 2nd and 13th century, like, Christian shit right here. I mean, just look at that motherfucker right there. Woo! Oh, we got SM Balmong. Doing a super chat. SM Balmong says, "I'm an atheist, so I have to be a shitty person and donate to a shitty amount. Fuck yeah, 6669. Nice. Especially on this concubine comment right here. Thank you there, SN Balmong. That'll definitely get us a whole lot of charitable donation stuff to do. Yeah. Anyways, so this just seems a little weird to me. Now, concubines in the Bible are a thing, but I kind of thought that everybody got the memo that we weren't doing that shit no more. But apparently this guy's like, nah, it's in the Bible. I can have myself some concubines. Quentin Van Boven doing a
this
super
much
chat.
money only secures
He's
your
doubly
Satan
going to hell because he's a godless heathen motherfucker. He says, "Sending in my weekly tithe, working tonight, so don't know how much I'll be able to watch." Thank you so much there, Quentin. I appreciate it. Next up in the comments, we got this person right here. Now, I don't know there. KC, you might be able to help this person, okay? So listen up. You'll need your expertise for this. Anyone know how to get nanotechnology cells out of my nose? I couldn't help it, but I was forced to do a nasal swab for work, or nasal swab test for work, and now I feel parts of my DNA actually changing. Can someone please help me? Because the doctors actually think I'm joking. Please, can anyone help me? Now, what do you think there, Casey? You can help them get the nanotechnology out of their nose? A psychiatrist? Yeah, that might help. So, I don't know why this person thinks that they can feel their DNA changing. I think that that would be incredibly painful if somebody were to run CRISPR directly on your genes just using a fucking swab in your nose. Like, I don't know how that's supposed to work or how she thinks nanotechnology works, but that's not fucking it. Uh-oh, this next one's for my Canadian bros out there. And what? Sister? No. What? Hoes? Bros and hoes? Oh, okay. Well, all my Canadian people, my Canadian heathens, did you know? Hashtag corporation known as Canada Inc. masquerading as official government of Canada since the year 1867 has zero jurisdiction over you. They can only impose their mandates on their company employees. We the people of Canada are not employees of Canada Inc. Capiche? Isn't capiche like an Italian thing? So they're talking about Canada, but yet they're using Italian words. That seems kind of weird. Anyways, apparently, Canada's a corporation, and they can only. I mean, I don't know how Canada works, but I know down here in the United States, the federal government can only force mandates on federal employees, which I think is kind of what they're talking about here. But at the same time, this whole bullshit about countries being corporations and everything, this just sounds like the same bullshit that was going around with all the Republicans down here. It's dipshit down here, it's dipshit up there in the Narnia North. Okay? It's dipshit all over. They're not corporations or anything like that. Quit spreading this bullshit. I don't know why. It's almost like the United States has a fucking virus, right? And now the virus has crept up into Canada, and it's infecting people with stupid up in Canada, because obviously this person was infected with whatever in the fuck's running around down here in America. Canadians just need to stay out of America. I don't really think I need to tell people that. I would rather be in Narnia. What's up? There's Drew's book reviews there in the comments. He's Canadian. Didn't mean to single you out there, Drew. All right, next is another COVID-idiot saying my friend just had his second vac and his lymph gland exploded. It exploded, KC. I wonder which one, because you got multiple lymph nodes. Like, was it under the arm? Like, yeah, your under the arm lymph node got fucked up when you were vaccinated? I mean, like, can you just imagine? It's like, hey, I just got my shot. And then all of a sudden it's like, and then where else are they? Like, they're like in your legs or something? Like, aren't there lymph nodes in your legs? There's lymph nodes all over your just entire body. Whatever. Fucking. They blew up. Anyways, this is a trial. I asked my GP yesterday. What's that? General practitioner, maybe? General doctor? How can we be sure that many reports of heart muscle failures that the media does not report because they are warned by the government not to. Won't happen for us. And she blatantly, a healthcare professional, sat there and said that she can't be sure at all. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done with it. You hear me? Fuck this shit, is what they said. Sorry, I'm throwing my head all over the places. I don't know why these people think that this shit is true. Like, their friend? You ain't got no friend where they exploded all their lymph nodes because of a fucking vaccine. They probably, like, their lymph nodes probably hurt because that's a natural immune response to this shit. Like, that's it. They hurt. They didn't explode. Dumb fucking asshole. And then the heart muscle failures that the media does not report because they're warned by the government not to. What are you fucking talking about? It's like you went to Blogspot, found some asshole who had some kind of crazy conspiracy theory about how they're hiding numbers of vaccinated dead people, and you just ran with it. Because that's the only place where you can pull this shit from. Or maybe it's the right-wing media that's out there pushing all this fucking crazy-ass bullshit. Either way, I'm really fucking tired of it, and I'd really appreciate it if these people would just stop pushing this fucking bullshit. Sorry, I blacked out there for a second. That's everything okay? Anyways, I'm fine. I just had a rage blackout for a second. All right, anyways, I'm done with these people. I think that's the last comment GE has for me. Yeah, it is. All right, so I think I'm going to go and lay down and just try to calm the fuck down from all this. I will see you heathens later. Don't forget to sit down and go to hell, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Okay. We having that linguini shit? Oh, I like that linguini. Whatever. Hell yeah. Woo! I'm so glad he was able to take that over for me. Anyways, Lucrezia Cosplay says GE does a great screaming Kermit the Frog impression. I mean, Josephus does a pretty good job of that, yeah. I think that was with the thing. Anyways, are you ready for me to stop screaming and let's get to the video? No. So just let me actually get to the screen. Okay. So just let me remind you, I do have a new tool called Twidget where I can pull up the super chats and everything, put them directly on the screen instead of only having the alerts. So if you do a super chat, you want to contribute to this conversation, please do. It helps us donate to charities. It also helps us keep the channel running here. It helps us do good things in the community in general. So consider doing a super chat like so many people have already done. I appreciate everybody that's already done a super chat. I hope David, there, Daniel M, is enjoying the show so far with me screaming my head off. But anyways, we're going to be talking about whether or not Jesus existed now. So as you all know, I am a mythicist. And while I know that I'm in the fringe, I know that there's a small number of scholars out there that support this position, but that number's only grown. This is from a couple years ago. Gobble till you wobble, y'all. Daniel M says, when Josephus was doing his bit, David asked, "Where's John?" I was just off screen there, David. I let Josephus do his thing, and he was just doing it. So I mean, he's a part of the show here. Oh, can you smell the pumpkin spice? What was that? we got Alex saying donating on behalf of asexual atheists. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Both asexual atheists and Alex. Thank you so much for all that. Anyways, all right. So let me preface by saying that the reason why I'm a mythicist is because I looked at the evidence for his existence, and I came away not being convinced that I could say he definitely existed. And the reason for this primarily relies in Paul being our primary and most importantly only like early independent evidence for this Jesus character. He only reports hallucinations. So that's why I'm unconvinced. And there's a lot more to get into with that, which I do here on the channel. We got Quentin Van Booben with the super chat saying, did Jesus exist? Nah, video over, right?
Oh, do y'all smell that candy corn?
I fucking smell the candy corn. Oh, my sugar's going up just as I'm smelling it. Anyways. Yeah, I know. It's almost time to get rid of it. Quentin Van Booven says, did Jesus exist? No, video over, right? No, it's not, because apparently, we got they got more to say, so I guess we'll find out. All right. But what is it they used to say? Hold on to your buttholes, or get your butt holders a holding, because we're about to prove Jesus existed. Maybe. Probably not.
Did Jesus really exist? Philosopher Bertrand Russell once wrote, historically, it is quite doubtful whether Christ ever existed at all, and if he did, we do not know anything about him. Now,
I can agree with this statement. I really don't care if Bertrand Russell said it or a weird guy on the street said it. It doesn't really matter to me. But I can agree with this statement that it's quite doubtful whether he did exist at all. But if he did exist, then we know nearly nothing about him at all. So, I don't think that it really matters who says it. I think it matters whether or not you agree with what is being said. That's, huh? Well, right, and my position's based on whether or not the evidence points in that direction.
this is a staggering claim, especially in light of the fact that a significant portion of the world's population claims that not only did Jesus exist, he is also the only authority on how one should live. So we have to take this issue seriously.
Jesus is the only authority that can tell us how we should live. No, the Bible doesn't say that, but also I think that just shows that this entire argument is kind of based in the need to validate Christianity as the moral framework for humanity. Because it's like, if Jesus existed, he's the only one that can dictate how we live our lives. And I think that even if Jesus did exist, it doesn't mean that that he can tell me how I should live my life. I think that that's incredibly ridiculous right there. Hold on. I gotta fix something real quick.
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more.
Fucking right it does. But so we got Command Cyborg, which Command Cyborg's thing didn't show up. I cough parts of his live. Caught parts of his live. Yay! Thank you, Command Cyborg, for being here. Then we got Satan's Little Helper, who says a cartoon Christian video. Yuck. Why couldn't it be a dark matter video? Well, I tend to agree with dark matter in what he says. But yeah, so I feel like this particular section highlights where their motivations are. And I really don't think that, given the motivation that they established, can you really get to any kind of truth about history. I mean, it's possible that they could be right, but I think they're heavily motivated to just tell the narrative they want to tell.
Gobble till you wobble, y'all.
Jason Kolosike says, "Slave, return to your master," and then it has the angry face with horns is what it says on the thing. They haven't integrated the emoticons yet. yeah, it says that in my little chat software.
Jesus really exist? Let's set aside the New Testament for a moment. What can we learn about Jesus just by studying history? As it turns out, the ancient Roman historian Tacitus, who's been referred to as
the ancient world's most distinguished historian,
records one of the most significant events in Jesus' life. He writes that Jesus was crucified under...
For some reason, my damn mouse is not working. Technical problems with... No, it's a USB port thing. So he's bringing up Tacitus, and we got Satan's little helper again. Satan's little helper says, "I know, I just love dark matter, just like I like your channel and being part of the Skeptic Mafia."
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more.
That's fucking right, it does. Yeah, I like Dark Matter's channel too. He's got some great content over there, so I appreciate you enjoying the Skeptic Mafia. Though we got to get I got to start getting out the podcast on a regular basis because I've been slacking on that lately. All right. Oh, okay. So I stopped it here. Tacitus. He's talking about Tacitus, and the problem is that if you look up Robert Van Voorst, Jesus Outside the New Testament, you'll find that he has a whole section on Tacitus. He covers who Tacitus is and what his sources most likely were. And what Robert Van Voorst, a Christian scholar, has come to is the conclusion that Tacitus, we cannot establish that he has independent information from the Gospels. And so we cannot use him as an independent source of Jesus. And most likely, if he did actually write the portion that he wrote, then he most likely got the information from Pliny the Younger, who was in a province just over, and he was interrogating Christians at the time. And you see, Pliny and Tacitus regularly communicated with each other in order to build this history that Tacitus was writing about. And so if he were to gotten this information from anywhere, it would have been from Pliny the Younger. But I think that it was probably edited, like it was probably interpolated, because the section that's highly Christianized can be taken out and the rest of the passage seems fine. It's not confusing or anything like that. Another thing is that he originally wrote about Christus and the Christians and not Christus, or Christ and the Christians. He wrote about Christus. We know from Suetonius that Christus was a Jewish agitator who was causing a lot of ruckus. And so it would make sense if Tacitus was talking about that person. And then a later Christian scribe not only changed the Christus to Christus, but also inserted the line about Pilate and everything else that can be source to the Gospels. So Tacitus is just not a good source to use if you're looking to prove that Jesus existed, because he's not independent. The section is most likely interpolated, and we definitely know that the Christus that appears there is changed by, or was changed by Christian scholars, or Christian copyists or scribes or whatever. They changed it. They thought, I don't think it was a purposeful interpolation there with the change from Christus to Christus, I think that they just thought somebody miswrote it or something. I do think that the interpolation of putting that information, the extra information in there, was on purpose and was malicious. But that's just me, I guess. But anyways, so he's talking about Tacitus. We had Gary White, who did his chat, his milestone chat, saying this video is better than Alabama and Auburn. Lol. I'm sure it is.
The Roman governor Pontius Pilate. At the time, history was usually only written about kings and other important people. Jesus' career to that point was that of a traveling preacher and healer in a backwater province that Rome didn't even care about. So the fact that Jesus is even mentioned at all is staggering.
It's not really all that staggering. For one thing, he's making it kind of seem like he's not exactly framing at what point were these two things happening. Like, it's not like Tacitus was writing in Rome at the same time that Jesus was in Judea. Also, Judea was under Roman control, so it was all Rome. Like, it was all Roman at that point. Like, that entire region was part of the empire of Rome. And so, I mean, anything that was happening in Rome would have been important to somebody like Tacitus. Now, a key thing here is that Jesus supposedly lived in the early 1st century, and his crucifixion was supposedly around in the early 30s, right? Tacitus wasn't writing until the 2nd century, and that's also when Pliny the Younger was interrogating Christians. And so Christianity had at least spread far enough for Tacitus to be able to communicate with Pliny the Younger and learn about Christians. Also, I don't think that Tacitus was the governor. I don't think that he was that close to Rome. Let's see. Let's see. And he was in the province right next to Pliny the Younger when he was writing. I'm not exactly sure where, but in any case, this video is making it out to be like there's no reason why Tacitus should be writing about Christians or Jesus when he was writing, but there's totally reasonable there's totally reasonable reasons why he would be writing about Jesus at that time. And it all comes down to the fact that he communicated regularly with Pliny, and Pliny was interrogating Christians. And they just totally ignore that information.
Additionally, this is the only historical mention of Pilate, so the fact that he is linked with the death of Jesus is particularly significant. We also have the account of Flavius Josephus, a Jewish historian employed by Rome shortly after the time of Jesus.
Okay, so Flavius Josephus, I actually have a really good clip on my GE Shorts channel that if you want to go to it, it's godlessengineering.com/GE Shorts. That's a direct link to the channel. You can get there, and it's got a thorough breakdown of Josephus as a source for Jesus, like an independent source, because the passage that's most commonly quoted, the Testimonium Flavianum, doesn't appear until the 3rd century or so. That's with Eusebius. Eusebius is the first one to use it and report it, which is kind of odd because Origen, one of the predecessors to Eusebius, who was using the same books of Flavius Josephus as Eusebius was using, he doesn't ever use the Testimonium Flavianum. There's also a vast number of scholars in the field that have done a number of critical analyses on this particular passage in Josephus, and they've come away with the conclusion that it's modeled after the Emmaus Road story in Luke and Acts, and then it's not only modeled after that, but it also looks like it was written by some kind of Christian like Eusebius, the verb phrases and the way that the story is constructed is totally different than how Josephus writes any of his history. And if you were to take the entire passage out, the two passages around this particular passage flow seamlessly together. They seem to connect like puzzle pieces. But then if you stuff it back in there, it's almost like a bump in the road. Like it's
Gobble
like
till you wobble, y'all.
it's like it's a small digression away from what was being talked about, and then he comes right back to what he was talking about. So it just seems a little weird that it appears there. What you need to take away from this is that there are several mainstream scholars out there that have done a number of critical analyses on this particular passage and have come away not convinced that Josephus even wrote it. So there's that. We got Jane Pusecker did a super chat saying, if you did believe that Jesus in some sense, do you think they will ever find evidence of a man Jesus was based off of, and what would proof look like? That's a really good question there, Jane. I don't think, unless what we would have to have is some kind of verifiable written testimony about this person. There are a number of places in which we could find this information, but it's suspiciously all erased from history. Like, I'm talking about, there are whole volumes of history where only the early first century is cut out from them. And it looks like it's surgically removed from the sources. And so it's a little strange. I'm not saying that proves he didn't exist or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's very strange that we have multiple different sources where we would expect Jesus to be in history, but yet they seem to be surgically cut out. So I would expect to see some kind of textual reference that's independent of any other sources to mention that this Jesus person was a cult leader and he was crucified by either the Jews or the Romans, just crucified and killed by somebody. And I would expect that. And so that's what I would expect to find. And I hope that I answered your question thoroughly enough. But in any case, okay, the second passage in Josephus that is normally referenced mentions Jesus's brother James. And I think that that's interpolated. Either by mistake or maliciously, it really doesn't matter. But the who was called Christ that appears in that particular portion of Josephus, it looks more like a marginal note. So like a Christian scribe coming back through, sees a marginal note, thinks it's supposed to be a correction, and works it in there. I think that it originally mentioned something about Jesus ben Damnius, because later on in the passage, they replaced James, who was killed, with Jesus ben Damnius. And it would make more sense if these two guys were brothers, James ben Damnius and Jesus ben Damnius, and it would make more sense for the Jesus to take, his position as the head priest or whatever. Also, this particular section doesn't match any of our sources about James, the so-called brother of the Lord, and how he died. The two ways that they died are completely different. Or this particular passage in Josephus is completely different than how we know James, the supposed brother of the Lord, died. So there's multiple reasons to think that it was interpolated and it was originally James ben Damnius and Jesus ben Damnius, not Jesus who was called Christ. That's a mouthful. Anyways, let's get back to this cartoon.
His works, Judean Antiquities, the following historical facts about Jesus are affirmed. Jesus was a wise man, a doer of startling deeds. He was executed by crucifixion by Pilate, and he had a group of followers that still existed at the time of his writing.
Well, yeah, specifically, Josephus says that a tribe of Christians still exists to this day. Now, when Josephus was writing this, the Christian community was not big enough to be tribe size. It was still relatively small at this point. So it would make no sense for Josephus to reference the Christians as being a tribe, at least that big. Now, all of those other things that was mentioned right there all come from the Testimonium Flavianum. And like I said, multiple scholars have done critical analysis on this particular section and have found that none of these things were actually written by Josephus. And these are mainstream scholars, and this is like mainstream position that Josephus did not write this stuff. Some people will claim that there is a redacted version of Josephus that is more original than what we have in Eusebius's version of Josephus. But Alice Wheatley has proven that the Syriac and Arabic versions of this particular passage, they stem from the Eusebian passage. So the Eusebian passage is the only passage that we have. So Josephus did not write that passage, and to say that, oh, well, obviously the highly Christianized portions were not there, they said something different, or they were wholly inserted or whatever, that's ad hoc reasoning. There is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that there was originally a redacted version of the Testimonium Flavianum. The version that we have now in Josephus is the version that has always existed, as far as we know, as far as the evidence can show us.
Again, the fact that Jesus gets so much airtime is astounding, given that both Jews and Romans hated Christianity. Neither Tacitus nor Josephus had any incentive to record anything about Jesus, unless it was actually true.
But the people that changed their documents definitely had reasons to change their documents in order to support their conclusions. For one thing, Eusebius, who is usually the culprit that's pointed to for changing Josephus, and we don't know who in the world changed Tacitus's work, but oh, I think that was my son. But Josephus, Eusebius definitely had motivations to change Josephus's work, because Eusebius was trying to defend the Christian faith at the time. He was trying to suggest that that Christianity was historical. It was based on historical truth. And so when he was looking for information that would validate his position in his debates, he didn't find any, and so he inserted some stuff, is the current reigning hypothesis. And this is actually found in evidence because Eusebius is actually known to change church doctrine and church documents in order to support his positions. He does this all the time for his own church. He rewrote his own church history like 4 times. So it's not out of his wheelhouse to change Josephus. I don't know who would have changed Tacitus. I don't know if it was an accidental interpolation or a malicious one. It doesn't really matter. The fact is that we don't have anybody referencing Tacitus until much later. And even then, it's by a Harry Potter villain named Sulpicius Severus or some shit. And so it seems very likely that none of this was actually written at the time. They had no reason to write about Jesus, so they didn't write about Jesus. And it was only the people that later came in and inserted the information that definitely had the motivations to write these things. And also, this is not some weird conspiracy theory, because this happens all the time in Christian documents. Scribal errors and interpolations, malicious interpolations, those happen all over the spectrum of Christian documents. It happens all the time. So this isn't a wild conspiracy theory. This is stuff that is known by the Christian scholarship. Sorry, I really need to check this message from him. So I sent Xander this little cartoon, and I don't know if you guys can see it right there. So anyways, it's a pig that's apparently built his house out of wolf skulls.
Oh, can you smell the pumpkin spice?
Made out of wolf skulls, and it says the 4th little pig's house was made out of wolf skulls. They aren't very sturdy, but they send a message. I sent that to him because I thought he would find that to be funny. It says, thou may make thou enemies traumatize, said the king pig. Thank you. Anyways, we got Hellbound Hillbilly with a super chat saying, I thought Jesus was based on Brian Cohen, who was not the Messiah, but was, according to his mother, a very naughty boy. I believe that's The Life of Brian, which I don't think that you've seen, honey. It's got British humor in it, so I don't think that you would like it. Thank you, Hellbound Hillbilly. Appreciate you.
There are tons of other non-Christian historical references to Jesus, including the facts that Jesus was executed by the Jews. When Jesus was executed, an unusual darkness covered the land, and that Jesus was crucified on the eve of Passover.
Oh my God, there's so much wrong in this such short amount of time. Okay, first up, oh shit, my hand disappeared. Marbar Serapion right here. Marbar Serapion is not an independent testimony of Jesus. Marbar Serapion was using whatever information that he had at the time. Most likely, Marbar Serapion was writing in the 3rd century, or maybe 2nd century. Anyways, he was writing at a time when Christian beliefs were widespread, and so he was pretty much just repeating things that he had heard. So Marbar Serapion's not good evidence for it. Thales and Phlegon, we actually don't have either of these sources available to us. What we do have are references through Julius Africanus, I believe, that cite them. And the problem with them is that they cite these things like like an eclipse and all this other stuff. And within their own text, they're questioning like whether or not like this is like a magical thing. Like they're saying that it's ridiculous to think that this is a magical thing happening. But more importantly, they never connect it to Jesus. They never connect it to Judea. They never say that these things are happening because Jesus died. These are inferences that are made by Christian apologists because this seems to, sort of match it. There's also a very good case for interpolation in the case of, I believe it's Phlegon. And so that, again, is not evidence that Jesus existed. And this is all mainstream scholarship. The Marbar Serapion information you can find in Robert Van Voorst's book. The Thales and Phlegon, I believe, is in Van Voorst as well. And then finally, we got the Babylonian Talmud right here. This is such bad information. The Babylonian Talmud does not talk about the Jesus of Christianity, because the Jesus that's mentioned in the Babylonian Talmud actually existed about 100 years prior to the belief of Christianity arising in the 1st century, because this Jesus actually died under King Janaeus, who was reigning between at 189 BCE. Right, so about 100 years prior. Also, none of the information that we know about Jesus and Christianity matches the Jesus that existed under King Janaeus. He was killed in a different place. He was killed directly by the Jews. He was stoned and crucified. And also, all of his disciples were immediately killed after his execution. So nothing in the Babylonian Talmud even makes sense as far as contextualizing it in Christianity. So I don't know why they think that these 3 sources prove anything about the Christian Jesus. And I think that the Christian Jesus could still exist, but these are not the sources to use to prove them. So these need to fade away from Christian apologetics, because these are so easy to debunk. All you have to do is literally read the context surrounding these particular sources, and they debunk themselves as being sources for Jesus.
So just by studying historical references of Jesus, we can learn that Jesus was a Jewish teacher, he performed healings and exorcisms, he was rejected by the Jewish leaders, he was crucified under Pontius Pilate in the reign of Tiberius. His followers, who believed he was resurrected, grew massively in numbers and spread out geographically all the way to Rome by AD 64. All kinds of people from the cities and countryside, men and women, slave and free, worshipped him as God by the beginning of the 2nd century.
Well, yeah. So, like, all of the actual details about Jesus that he mentions, like being a teacher, a healer, rejected, crucified, and all that. I'm trying to point on it's a little weird. Crucified. All that comes from the Gospels. The Gospels being written in the 70s. Paul, or well, starting in the 70s. Paul never records the Romans as the one who crucified him, or even Pilate. He doesn't talk about Pilate. What Paul says is that the archons of this aeon crucified Jesus, and we know that that particular phrase is commonly used to reference Satan and his demons. And even Paul himself talks about how the ruler of this world is Satan. And so it kind of seems more likely that Paul was talking about Satan crucifying Jesus and not like, the Romans. We get I need to get my money gun and like do some more money gun shit. It takes so much to record those because you got to like clean up right after. We got Cadence who says, I'm just interrupting for the sake of donating to a charity again. Thank you so much there, Cadence. I love your interruption. And then we got Jason Kolosike, who says COVID spread globally much quicker than that. Christianity is slow-moving virus. I agree. Yeah, it definitely is. But anyways, so all of those four things are reported in the Gospels, and the Gospels come much later than our only independent source, which would be Paul. Paul doesn't record any of these things, so there's that. And then the leader and worship thing, I mean, by the 2nd century, yeah, I mean, he was considered those things, but also it's by the 2nd century. It's totally removed from any kind of historical sourcing. This doesn't actually talk about Jesus as a historical figure. It just talks about the faith of Christianity starting to gain popularity. And that's it. That's all that talks about.
Today I learned that atheists sacrifice babies on Halloween.
Oh shit, did you know that Alex sacrifices babies? Obviously. Damn, they're true Christian right there. Christian with, or not Christian, sorry. True atheist with a TM. Alex says, interrupting Alex. All right, let's continue.
Now earlier, we set the New Testament aside for the sake of argument, but now let's bring it back to take a look. The history we just studied corroborates what's found in the New Testament, so it's worth wondering, should the New Testament also be considered historically accurate?
No! No, it shouldn't. The New Testament should not be considered historically accurate. Now, does the New Testament get some names and places and everything like that right? Yes, it does. But that's a far cry from being historically accurate. Okay, so for one thing, there's a number of things that the New Testament gets wrong. That would be like where places are located. That's one thing that they get wrong. They get a whole mess of things wrong. And even the Gospels disagree with each other about what Jesus did. Hell, the Gospel of John has Jesus having a 3-year ministry, while the Synoptic Gospels have Jesus, being, I guess, baptized in January, and then having his whole ministry up until the Passover in April. And, that was his entire ministry. Everything that he did was in that few months time span. And so it seems really weird to me to say that the Gospels or the New Testament is historically accurate when it's obviously not. We got Jonathan Hanachek with his member chat saying, LOL!
Here are 3 reasons to consider the New Testament as historically accurate. First, we have more ancient manuscripts of the New Testament than any other book we would consider accurate canonical history.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It doesn't matter how many copies that we have. the more copies something has doesn't mean that it's more historical. Damn, fucking SJ. So, so just because the New Testament has a whole bunch of copies doesn't make it more historical. And also, it's a little misleading because we don't have any like whole manuscript copies before the 3rd century. Prior to the 3rd century is like a lead a lead curtain is there. We can't see past it. Not even fucking Superman could see past that shit. Okay, so we don't have any idea of.
We got a new member.
Thank you so much, Melody, for becoming a Skeptic Mafia member. So not even Superman can see past this lead curtain. We don't know exactly what was in the original text of the New Testament. We don't know anything about the New Testament prior to the 3rd century. So we don't even know if what the Bible that we have today is what was originally written. And even if you look at some of these early church fathers like Papias, which we don't have any reliable information from Papias, but like Papias says that Matthew was originally written in Hebrew, which we know is not true because the only evidence that we have is that Matthew was written in Greek, just like all the other Gospels. So it makes no sense to say that just because there's more copies of the New Testament, that means that it's more historical. That just doesn't make any kind of sense.
Also, the amount of time that passed when the New Testament was first written and when the first copies were made is a significantly shorter duration than for many other ancient texts. Here's why this matters. The more copies we have, the more confident we can be that we can recreate what the original document said.
True. I mean, yeah, we can definitely trace the changes to the Bible over a long period of time. Like, what we know is that after the 3rd century, when we have our first full manuscripts of the New Testament and the Bible in general, we can trace how the New Testament was changed to fit certain narratives that certain churches, certain communities wanted to push. We can track those changes and we can get back to what was most likely originally there. But like in the case of the ending of Mark, we don't know what was originally there because what we have are manuscripts that have either the longer ending of Mark, they don't have the ending, any of the ending of Mark at all, or they have this other shorter ending to Mark. So we don't know what was originally there. We don't know if Mark's originally ended at verse, I think it was 8. We don't know if it ended there or if there was some other kind of ending there. We just simply don't know. But we do know that the more likely version to be real are the ones that don't have the longer ending to Mark.
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more.
Fuck yeah, it does, Alex. Alex says, I mean, cancer DNA copies itself more often than regular DNA. It doesn't mean that it's any good or tells us what the original DNA was. Exactly. So yeah. All right, let's continue.
The shorter the time interval, the less opportunity there is for copying errors.
That's not true. The shorter that that's not at all true, because I mean, saying that means that there's less of a chance for a text to be changed the shorter amount of time there is between the original and the copies. And all it takes is one particular copying to cause a plethora of different changes. So that's just not true. The amount of time really doesn't matter. All it matters is the fact that you are copying from one source to another. That's what matters. He's making it, this person is making it sound like the fact that, the Bible was maintained over years is somehow making it more historical. And that's not even true. because even just one copy event could cause major changes.
For the sake of comparison, let's look at Tacitus again. We only have 20 copies of what he wrote, and the earliest copies were written 1,000 years after his originals. In contrast, we have over 5,000 New Testament copies, the earliest ones dating within 50 years of the original writings.
Wait, what? Okay, first of all, let's handle the Tacitus claim right here. So I feel like they're not taking into account that other copies would have existed between when Tacitus wrote and our current extant earliest version of Tacitus. Because I think that's what he's talking about here. Because it's not like Tacitus wrote his stuff and then 1,000 years later there was like one copy event. Even so, even if there was, let's just assume that there was one copy event, right? That would still be enough to change a lot of things. Like, it's not that the words change over time, like the words on the page. I mean, if you don't maintain it, then yeah, you could have some portions that are just lost to history because you didn't maintain it. But this person seems to assume that there were no copy events between when Tacitus wrote his work and when our earliest extant version is. And that's simply that's not the case. That to assume that would be assuming information that you don't have. And that's not a good way to go about this. Now, the next thing is this idea that there were copies of the New Testament within 50 years of the originals being written. And I don't know that we actually have that evidence. Like the little the pieces of the New Testament that we have now, the little scraps that we have, we don't know if those were the originals or if they were copies of the originals, because we don't know what is original. We don't have any idea of what the originals were. So we don't know when they were copied. And to say that they were copied within 50 years of each other, I think is saying that you know more than we have evidence for. And I don't think that that's a wise thing to do.
So, if we consider sources like Tacitus to be historically accurate, it's reasonable to consider the New Testament historically accurate as well.
It doesn't matter whether Tacitus is historically accurate, because even if Tacitus was magical as fuck and didn't report anything that was historical, that doesn't mean anything about the New Testament. These two things are they don't, like, one does not affect the other. They're mutually exclusive. So just because Tacitus is taken as historical, which critically speaking, you have to, like, if you ever reference anything from Tacitus, you should really take a critical look at it to see if it could be interpolated, or if there's arguments for interpolation, or if there are indications of interpolation, because obviously people can change things over time. We don't have the originals of Tacitus, so you got to be careful about it. But for Tacitus, unless there's obvious signs of interpolation, it's reasonable to take what he's saying as something that he originally wrote. What the fuck am I saying? Of what he originally wrote. That says nothing about whether or not the New Testament is historical, because the New Testament is mythical historiography. Like, it's a hagiography is what it is. What hagiographies are is where they take information or they take some figure, historical or not, because there are hagiographies of mythical people as well as real people. But what they do is they build up and they really glorify the one central figure of their story. And so, because of the fact that both fictional and nonfiction hagiographies exist, we can't know whether or not the New Testament is a nonfiction one or a fiction one. So there's nothing in the New Testament that seems to indicate that any of it is historical. There's no historical references in the New Testament. Nobody in there cites any kind of historical sourcing. none of it is sourced to anything other than Scripture. That's the only thing. Matthew is the one gospel that makes it very plainly obvious that he's pulling everything from Scripture. So these two things are just not comparable.
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more.
Sorry, had to get my Bud Light cranberry seltzer. We got Vanta Blue with the super chat saying what KC said once was true. Therefore, what GE said 20 times must be true too. Yes, that's exactly what it means. KC was right, so inevitably everything that I say is correct too. What? She said that's not true, but I'm telling you, she says true shit, and so therefore I say true shit too. Okay, I'm just saying everything I said is 100% historically accurate and shit.
Secondly, the New Testament has repeatedly been proven true where it mentions historical facts. Archaeological discoveries have confirmed many references made in Luke's writings. For example, he correctly refers to Philippian rulers as praetors rather than duumvirs. He correctly places the city of Iconium in Phrygia, not in Lycaonia, as Cicero states. And he correctly identifies the Corinthian proconsul that encounters Paul as Gallio. Therefore, if the New Testament is true in these historical facts, it's reasonable to think it's trustworthy in other regards as well.
No, it's not reasonable to think that. This is actually a fallacy. It's called a composite fallacy. Basically, what you're doing is you're taking little bits and pieces of a larger thing, a larger object, and saying that these little pieces apply to the larger set that you're pulling from. So these little bits of information are true. Therefore, the entire New Testament is true. This is a composite fallacy. And it's not reasonable to think that just because the New Testament gets a few things correct, that means that the entirety of the New Testament is true. This is fallacious reasoning. Like, for instance, you could say the exact same thing about Spider-Man or about Superman. Oh, can you smell the pumpkin spice? Thank you, SN Balmunk, for your donation. Oh, it was a super sticker. It's not showing up on the thing, but it's just a fox saying ha 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 ha. Thank you so much there, SN Balmunk. But anyways, if you were to take Spider-Man, you could establish New York exists, and you could establish several things about New York that are true, that it gets right. And so by that notion and by the logic presented in this video, you should think that Spider-Man is a true story. You could also say the same thing for you could say the same thing for Superman, because like Superman has instances of like Neil deGrasse Tyson showing up. You have very real instances of very real places showing up in Superman. So therefore, Superman must be real. And so you can't use, like, this is bad. Like, I would hope that even people that are asserting a historical Jesus would think that this is a bad argument.
Such as its mentions of Jesus. Thirdly, the New Testament records many incidents that could potentially damage the reputations of early disciples of Jesus. Potentially scandalous or harmful things like Jesus calling Peter Satan, or the fact that the disciples constantly misunderstood who Jesus was and what he was about.
So this is a criterion of embarrassment, and this is not very good evidence for anything. For one thing, one of the problems with the criterions of embarrassment is that there's just as much reason to make them up as like these instances that are considered embarrassing. There's just as much reason to make them up as they are to be true, and to write them down because they are true. Another thing is that this is similar to the legal concept of statement against interest. And in our current legal system, we don't even accept statements against interest without corroborating information. So this entire point right here is just really bad reasoning. Just because they wrote embarrassing things does not mean that it is inherently true. And primarily, this particular argument or this particular piece of evidence is used in biblical studies, and it's not so much used in the rest of history, because it is used sometimes, but it's usually used in conjunction with other evidence. But the problem in New Testament studies is that they only use the criterion of embarrassment, not with any other substantiating or corroborating information. To explain why the things that we're being told are not embarrassing is because the disciples in the Gospels are actually representative of the Jewish people, like the 12 tribes of Israel, and Judas in general means the Jew. And that's why Judas is the one that betrays Jesus, because the Jews have betrayed God. These are literary things that are brought up in the Gospels. So there's absolutely no reason to think that this criterion of embarrassment means that these aspects are true, or that makes the New Testament true in any kind of sense. Because the Gospel writers wanted to portray the Israelites, the Jewish people, as being inept, as being controlled by Satan, as being so dumb that they cannot understand God's message. That is what they were trying to communicate with their Gospels. That's the reason why Jesus is needed. It's the entire reason for the Messiah. And if you read the Old Testament, you will see that that's plainly obvious. God fucking hates his chosen people because they always do stupid shit that causes him to create a sarlacc pit and swallow them whole. They always do shit like wanting to fuck, the Egyptians with ejaculations like donkeys or some shit. Like, that was all about worshiping other gods. They are, in the Old Testament, they are so fucking dumb that God gets so fed up with them, he has a hit squad go through Israel and kill a bunch of them. Like, that's what's in the Old Testament. So why would that change for the New Testament? Why would God all of a sudden be perfectly fine with the Jews worshiping other gods, doing the idol thing? Why would he be okay with this? I don't understand why people think that that God would put up with it. It just seems so weird. Well, let me handle this right here. The Jews knew there would be two types of Messiah. See Sanhedrin 98 is what SJ says in the comments there. And yes, some Jews felt that way, that there were two Messiahs, one that would die and then another one that would come and resurrect the previous one. But the problem is that this is a small change away from being Christianity, because all it takes is merging those two figures and you have Christianity. So it's not really an argument in your favor. It's actually an argument in the favor of the general or the gradual development of Christian ideas.
Reason for this content to be included, unless the authors wanted to record what actually happened. Back to the root topic. Bertrand Russell says there's no evidence that Jesus existed. Historical and biblical record offer evidence that, well, he did.
So I disagree with the idea that anything that they presented provides evidence for Jesus. I totally disagree with that, but I also disagree with Bertrand Russell about there being no evidence that he existed, because that assumes that there's just literally nothing that proves that he existed. I think the best chance that historicists have is Paul's work. Paul's work has enough ambiguous verses in it that you could argue to make the case for a historical Jesus. But the problem is that I feel like the arguments that show that he never referenced a historical Jesus are much stronger than the arguments for Paul referencing a historical Jesus. And that's literally the only hang-up that I have. Excuse me. That's literally the only hang-up I have between minimal historicism and minimal mythicism. And it just seems like the arguments are vastly more superior, or whatever, on the mythicism side than the historicism side. So
did Jesus really exist?
Probably
If we're
not.
going by researched evidence, then it seems pretty clear.
If we're going by researched evidence, then you wouldn't provide any of the evidence that you provided in this video. If I had to go back and like rework this video and remake it, I would solely rely on Paul, because Paul's information is the only information that's independent from the Gospels. It's independent from Christians, other Christians. And so it's the only evidence that we have that Jesus may have existed on earth. None of the other evidence that he presented or they presented in this video actually establish the historicity of Jesus. None of them can be used to establish the historicity of Jesus. So I would rework the entire video and solely focus on Paul and what he says, and use those ambiguous verses that a lot of people use. And so if somebody can make a solid case for James being the brother of Christ, or somebody can make a solid case for Paul referencing Jesus's mother or father, for that matter, that would be good. But the problem is that those are so ambiguous that I really don't think that it helps either position. And so you're left with a bunch of ambiguous verses that don't help anybody. And so I have to fall on the side of mythicism, because unless you can provide me with substantial evidence that suggests that Jesus more than likely existed, considering the reference class that you're going with Jesus, I'm gonna have to go with mythical, because all of the other savior figures that have existed prior to Jesus have always been mythical.
Gobble till you wobble, y'all.
Oh shit, S.J. Thomason is gobbling till she wobbles.
Whew. Thanksgiving is not a good day to be my pants.
They certainly weren't. It fucked me up. S.J. Thomason says 1 Corinthians 15 has been acknowledged as within 5 years of Jesus' resurrection. No. I do agree that 1 Corinthians 15, the creed, that's the Pauline creed, was within a few years of Jesus' supposed death. Not his resurrection, because I don't think he resurrected, but I'll go with death. Considering how close his death was to his resurrection, I feel like I'm saying the same thing as you there, SJ. But I do acknowledge that, but that's just when the belief arose. That's not verifying that the event did happen. Yeah, it's just a list of things that they believe, as well as people that had hallucinations of Jesus. And that's it. I think it's a little detrimental to your case, though, for a historical Jesus, because he says, according to the scriptures, at every single point. It's like he died and resurrected according to the scriptures. He was buried according to the scriptures. Like, it all says according to the scriptures. So I don't see how that helps your case. And then we got the Jim Tanker, who says, I can prove the earth is flat. 75% of the earth's surface is covered with non-carbonated water. Fuck! He saw the same meme that you did there, hon. Anyways, that's going to be it for our video tonight. I hope that you heathens enjoyed taking a look at some Jesus mythicism stuff. Next week, we have Dr. Richard Carrier on, and he is going to be refuting what Bart Ehrman said on Holy Kool-Aid's channel. Because, I originally responded to Holy Kool-Aid, and then, Holy Kool-Aid got Bart Ehrman to come on and refute me. And he says a few very specific things that I brought up. And so we're going to be covering that next week. So it's already scheduled, and I'll be sharing that out this week if you want to come and see Richard Carrier refute everything that Bart Ehrman says in that interview. So there's that. I appreciate all of the super chats tonight. You guys are awesome. You're helping us do so much great work. We've been busy buying like a bunch of clothes for the foster kids. That's what they needed. We contacted Kids to Love, and they told us that we just desperately need all these clothes and stuff. And so what we did, and oh yes, and gift cards. We spent a little bit on gift cards.
Gobble till you wobble, y'all.
We spent a little bit on gift cards, but we mostly bought the kids clothes because that's what they really need. And so that's where y'all's donations went to this month, helping us do that. And we really appreciate y'all. People like Alex Baranowski, who says, I don't understand the whole Jesus is the Son of God when God is our Father. What makes Jesus so special? Well, so the whole family of God thing is a little bit convoluted. Because as Paul says, any baptized Christian is part of the family of God and is a brother or sister of Jesus. With Jesus being the Son of God, that's kind of a reference back to Jesus being there with God at the beginning of the universe. God initially, created Jesus, and then everything was created through Jesus, like including Adam and all of them. And so Jesus being the Son of God, and God being the Father just means, that God created Jesus before he created anything else. He's the Son of God. Also, to speak more, I guess, pagan about it, sons of God are actually a pretty common thing in the ancient world, because all of the savior figures and all of the gods, they had sons and daughters and all this stuff all the time. So it's not really that big of a weird thing. So anyways, thank you so much, Alex, for your super chat. We're about to go into the Skeptic Mafia comments. The Skeptic Mafia, I think we need to have a hangout tomorrow, because I'm still one behind on owing you guys. So I think probably tomorrow around this time, 5 to 6 p.m., I think is when we're going to be doing Central Time. Sorry, yes, thank you, hon. Central Time, about 5 p.m. Central Time is when we're going to be doing the Skeptic Mafia hangout. If you guys can come, that's going to be awesome. We'll hang out and talk. I'll probably be editing a video, so I'll try to interact as much as I can. But definitely come and hang out with us if you're part of the Skeptic Mafia. I appreciate y'all so much. But we're about to go into the Skeptic Mafia comments. If you're going to be leaving out right now, please feel free to smash that like button and leave a comment. The comments help out so much here on YouTube. Be sure to leave a comment down below, even if you're just saying some gobbledygook, down there. Put in the comments, Spider-Man's real because New York's real, or some shit like that. I don't know. Just put whatever you want. While you're down there, smash the like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And I guess we'll be seeing you guys on Monday, when we're going to be taking a look at more of Dr. Craig Evans and his misrepresentation of mythicism. So please join us then, and I will see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we are going to be getting to the Skeptic Mafia comments. And we got a good number of comments. It's only about 11 or so from what I can tell, and there's none held for review, so that helps. All right. So first up, oh shit, wait, sorry, I gotta get this set up. I got a hard stop at like 8 o'clock because I gotta call Xander. Yeah, if they're super long, hopefully they're not. We got Drew's book reviews that says, well, at least they got the Jesus characters reference right. I honestly don't know if Jesus existed or not, and when all is said and done, don't care that much, but I will say that if Jesus did exist, his fame, powers, and abilities have been exaggerated to an extreme level. He was no god, had no superpowers, and if anything, could not have been more than a charismatic leader whose fame got much bigger than the man himself. But hey, I guess Christians will believe what they believe, but I will believe that Jesus is real in the same way that I believe Captain Picard is real. After all, both Jesus' story and Picard's story say that they are both from Earth, so they can be equally true, right? I mean, 178 Next Gen episodes, multiple movies, and numerous books, and at least one spin-off TV show, plus numerous references to Picard from other series and writings, could make the same argument just with modern media, not ancient writings. Anyway, heathens, till next time, keep on reading. You know, Drew has a lot of great stuff going on over there at his channel. Definitely go and check him out. I know that he did a review of the Wheel of Time series that just recently got put on Amazon Prime. So if you're interested in those kinds of books and stuff, definitely go and check him out. He's got great content. Sean J's next, saying same old evidence that was either fabricated or come down to so the Bible tells me so, or so believers told a historian. Maybe if I keep it super short, which we should all strive for anyway, YouTube won't have technical problems and fail to show GE the read more like last week. That was really weird. It's been really weird that it's been doing that, but next we got Command Cyborg, who says, "Hello world. As prompted, I'll try to be, let's say, not overly long-winded." Now, what's in here? Russell sums it up quite well for his time. Tacitus mentioned what Christians who quite definitely existed in his time believed. Josephus too, but the part you talk of is quite established to have been embellished by later Christian scribes. So far, your evidence amounts to whoop-de-doo! No, those non-biblical sources are often way later than you're implying, and mostly they retell what Christians told them or their peers. Furthermore, these documents don't corroborate the Bible so much, since the Bible, albeit secondarily, largely are their source. They are evidence that Christians were a thing. The more copies there are, the more someone wanted a copy. Perhaps you haven't heard of what was done in Scriptorium. It is what without saying so directly, you were trying to say the more copies, the more truth to what's inside the text, in the text. At least if it's handwritten, aka scripture. That's not how anything works, my dude. A person writing about places that they know or have been isn't unlikely to get some facts about them right. Well, Payne, I'll stop right there. Smash all the buttons, ring-a-ling-a-ding-dong. Insert a free shilling here if it doesn't take too long. Hey, most of the time we do a Skeptic Mafia podcast where we cover recent events. So if you want to come in and hear us, mainly KC, talk about current events, then please join us. That's all, folks. Thank you and good night. Transmission terminated. Alex Baranowski says, not even 30 seconds in and we get an argumentum ad populum. I don't know how it's all that surprising that Jesus gets mentioned in Roman literature. Has anyone read fanfics about literally any fictional character? This video isn't particularly convincing. Personally, I don't care if Jesus existed. It doesn't matter for me. It doesn't matter for the issue of a God existing or anything like that. And I totally appreciate that position. I don't think that everybody should take this particular topic as being all that important. It's definitely a niche topic, but I do think for me personally, it's a very important topic because so many people regurgitate bad information about the topic. What does matter is being a member of the Skeptic Mafia. You can pay a few dollars to join us here in our GE cult where we watch videos ahead of time after voting on them and then leave those kinds of comments where we get to make GE say whatever we please, like the Pink Panther has the answer. Remember to wash your damn hands and get your booster shots or else. I do agree that the Skeptic Mafia has a lot of great perks to it, even at the lowest level on the Skeptic Mafia tiers. Because, for the Mafioso tier, you get to watch the videos ahead of time. You get to vote on what videos that we watch. And it's just, you get a lot of interaction on the channel by being a Skeptic Mafia member. Jonathan Nichols says a short comment this week. Thank you so much there, Jonathan. As I saw it suggested, long comments won't be read anymore. It doesn't bother me if someone called Jesus existed. I am not a mythicist. What I would need evidence for the supernatural claims. I hear mentioned that later books and authors talk about Jesus, but so what? None of them were eyewitness accounts. They were reporting what they heard. It also doesn't matter how many copies of the Bible were written. There were plenty of copies written by Harry Potter books and the Lord of the Rings. Does this make Hogwarts or Mordor real places? What I do know is that this video has not convinced me that Jesus ever existed. I mean, that's another thing, is that it doesn't really matter to me whether or not Jesus existed at all either. I just see a lot of bad information about the history of Christianity being spread.
Just a little bit of money.
In this particular, topic area. So I feel compelled to correct people on it. Drew's Book Review says, thanks for the shout out, GE. Thank you, Drew, for being such a great member over there. Next we have, thank you, Jonathan, for your comment. I appreciate it. Fix my camera. I Heart Dogs says, I have a feeling GE is going to be able to rip apart the extra biblical references mentioned. Join the Skeptic Mafia. You'll get great avatars and early access to videos. You can even help choose the videos. Remember to hit the like button and share and ring the bell so you don't miss anything. Also, a portion of your membership goes to a charity. I mean, like this month we're working with, we're donating to Kids to Love, and we're giving children Christmas presents in the form of gift cards as well as clothes that they desperately need. So the super chats here tonight are helping us pay for that, as well as super chats and Skeptic Mafia memberships all throughout this month. So we really appreciate it. Trickster says, there are so many copies of the Bible, but even though there are only a few copies of this guy over here, we're still going to use his histories as proof. I thought this was one of the reasons he was using for proof. Kind of convenient if you ask me. Also, saying he did great deeds does not automatically mean miracles. Like, subscribe, and share, and if you want to be able to get some really cool stuff from GE, then join the Skeptic Mafia. One of those cool items that you get is a monthly hangout, which right now I owe the Skeptic Mafia 2 hangouts. One's going to be happening tomorrow, and I'll be putting that on our community tab when it's getting closer to time. I'll also remind you guys about it. So, definitely join up so that you can hang out with me. I know everybody's like, oh, hang out with GE. We got to get on that shit. Oz from over there at the Tart channel, which if you guys don't know, Tart is a great channel. It's got debates. They've got other shows on there. They do a lot of great stuff over there on the Tart channel. But Oz says, hell yeah! Next, we got Nikki, who says, once upon a time in Mexico took place in Mexico. That's a real place. Therefore, El Mariachi exists. See, I can do it too. Hey, does that also mean that the Desperado movie is also historical? That actually happened? Because having a guitar case with a machine gun in it is just fucking awesome. There was that one Today I Learned we had where the meth king of South California or whatever had the briefcase with the machine gun in it. That blew my fucking mind. Next is SM Balmung, who says, funny how he fails to mention that conflicting ideas about Jesus existed even at the time of his supposed death or shortly after, almost as if there is nothing tying them together. The one consistency seems to be the crucifixion, but the claim a guy named Yeshua was sacrificed is wholly unremarkable. And even if it did happen, the stories could have appeared first and then attached to him later, which would still make them a myth. I agree. I think there's very little evidence to suggest that Jesus started Christianity, but I don't think that we'll ever know for sure unless we find some kind of weird textual thing where it says, oh, hey, we're going to fucking make this shit up and everybody's going to buy it and then we're going to profit. And then finally, we got Zach Clark who says it's an animation. Therefore, it must be true. You can't lie in animations. We all know you can't lie in animations. Just ask the Animaniacs. The Animaniacs. Y'all can't see me, but it shook my ass a little bit. Anyways, that's going to be it for our show tonight. If you guys got any questions, I have just a few minutes where I could answer any questions that you guys might have. We got we got a lot of people, like Asexual Atheist is in there saying Tang Gang. Yeah, I love the whole Tang Gang thing. That's pretty cool. Huh? Syrian saying, have fun, peoples. Have fun there, Syrian. I hope you have a good night. Derp Squirrels, apparently your comment cannot be. Hold on, I'm dragging this out. Oh, wait, here we go. I don't know what that looks like. It's just a bunch of blocks on my screen. Shit, I lost it. There we go. Okay, got it off there. Anyways, oh, we got Hellbound Hillbilly that says, just got to get one more in before the end.
Till you wobble, y'all.
Thank you there, Hellbound Hillbilly. You're awesome. Derp Squirrels figured that their stuff wouldn't be very good. Daniel M asks, how is Vice City going? Well, I actually installed some mods, and I haven't run it yet with the mods, but I'm hoping to get something going next week, probably with streaming it again. Kind of took this week off a little bit from it. Drew's Book Review says, have you watched The Wheel of Time, Godless Engineer? What do you think of it? I haven't watched it yet, but I'm waiting to watch your kind of review of it and everything like that until after I've watched it. We just have a lot of things that we're doing, like as far as like watching shows and everything like that. Plus, you know, it's pretty near Christmas, so at least once a day we got to watch a Christmas movie. We watched 8-Bit Christmas and it made us cry. I'm just saying. On HBO Max, yeah. On HBO Max. So, anyways. Well, I got to get going, guys. Oh, shit. I accidentally switched. Luckily, I didn't automatically end the stream like I did that one time. But anyways, oh, we got another one. Daniel M. David got to make it till the end. Awesome!
Oh, can you
David
smell
and that
the
pumpkin spice? Great. I'm so glad that you made it till the end there, David. I hope you had it. Oh, yes. Cadence makes a very good point down there. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. So we're watching Die Hard this year. It has Christmas music in it. He says, hoo, 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 now I got a machine gun. It's a Christmas party. If we had any other movie that featured a Christmas party,
can you smell the pumpkin
and some
spice?
kind of conflict, Hellbound Hillbilly says Die Hard is the best Christmas movie. Oh, Cernian's thrown in with Gremlins. Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Yeah, it is. Anyways, thank you guys for joining tonight. You guys have made it very memorable. I always love hanging out with you heathens. And I guess we'll see you guys later. Don't forget, on Monday, we got Dr. Craig Evans. And then on Thursday, we have a Christian sitting very lonely on a rock next to an ocean, trying to convince us that Christianity is true. So I hope that you guys will join us then, and we'll see you guys later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Of course, that's before Alex says Nightmare Before Christmas is the best.
You know,
I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to
makes
stand
me
up, use your
drink
voice, and
more.
all that kind of good shit. Bye, guys. Check it.